and welcome everybody. My name is Neal Prunier, and I'm the Director of Standards and Best Practices here at ILPA. I'm pleased and honored to be joined by our esteemed guest, Ken Akoundi, who's the founder and Chief Knowledge Officer of Cordatius LLC. Welcome, Ken. Thrilled to have you here.
Thanks. I'm very pleased to be here, and I thank ILPA for the invitation.
Well, of course, we're thrilled to have you here. So today, Ken and I are going to be discussing the space of technology for LPs. This is a very important area for us here at ILPA, as we're looking to better inform our members about the types of opportunities and options that are available for them as they think about implementing new technologies. Ken is an expert in this area, and we're thrilled to be able to tap into his experience and knowledge as we think about how do you best coordinate a project like this, and how do you best think about implementation and steps forward to ensure any project is successful. Ken, ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, recently you added to your colleague catalog of papers with a new paper titled, Is It Worth It? And based off of our survey from summer of 2020, we found that over 44% of respondents were interested in considering or applying for new technology. So Ken, I've got to ask you, is it worth it?
The answer is yes. It is one of those things that the reason why we wrote the paper was because when we were asked by one of our prospects clients, well, are these projects worth it? That there was no paper out there addressing the issue. There are research that showed that these upgrades are necessary and needed and involve time savings. There were research like yours, that ILPA's, that showed that these problems are, again, an indication of the fact they need to be addressed. But there was nothing that said, well, how much savings were involved. So we took it upon ourselves to take 4 approaches to answer the question. The first one was, if the investment office is basically operations or in the business of manufacturing alpha and is a series of processes that lead to this manufacturing, are there any benefits across the board with the processes as technologies are upgraded? And the answer was yes. After we were done, we realized it's a little bit like somebody asking you, is it a benefit in upgrading to a smartphone? Personally, when I got my iPhone, I never ran an ROI analysis to get it. So it was sort of obvious after that answer. The second type of answer was, if we assume there's a certain amount of people in a certain size office with certain functions, how much savings are involved in helping them upgrade the technology in terms of time savings, etc., and dollarize that and present that. The result of that effort was at least between 4 to 11%, and literally talks about, we make some assumptions. You're going to have to read the paper to see the details, but there is definitely hard dollar saving. Overall, we found in our universe, as we characterize knowledge in terms of quantitative and qualitative knowledge, the quantitative knowledge, which includes systems that do performance attribution, contribution, risk, versus qualitative knowledge that do workflow management, document management, contact notes, contact names, etc. We found that the qualitative knowledge had an order of magnitude larger impact on the investment office than the quantitative one. And there's some explanations around that. Almost everybody, albeit the most archaic version of a quantitative process, is a networked Excel, a set of Excel sheets, and in this most sophisticated one, actual systems built for this purpose. So this whole the savings by qualitative stuff was much greater overall than the quantitative stuff. So the short answer, yes, it is worth it.
Very nice. And I think it's a really interesting paper and a really interesting way to take a look through it. You mentioned the idea there of new technologies. And historically, a big component of any technology decision was the build versus buy decision. However, it seems like now it's much easier to make that decision because buying is naturally the selection versus building internally.
I firmly believe that there's no functionality out there that is so unique to the market that no one has built it. So that makes a very strong case for saying, build versus buy. If every functionality you need is available out there, then the single question that the long-term investment office has to decide on is who that vendor is.
Right.
So yes.
And that seems to simplement the process a bit. However, it still is a very difficult process due to how many different vendors there are and the constant moving pieces. One of the pieces of functionality that you mentioned, and it's a piece of your paper on the quantitative side, is this idea of a single source of truth and a core analytics platform. In order for this to work, though, there does need to be a implementation, and there does need to be addressing the issue of legacy data and legacy systems getting moved over to the new single source of truth, the new core analytics. Can you talk about what that looks like?
The method we use is follow the data. If you follow the data, we believe that data doesn't lie. From inception to consumption, where is it generated, what happens in between, and where does it go? And in this process that we do at every investment office that we've looked at so far, there are inefficiencies that go back decades. We are yet to find any prospect, an investment office that we haven't helped fix, where the private equity data is not processed by three different entities from same exact source, three different processing, and at the end when you try to reconcile the numbers, they don't match. And they, mind you, this is all from the same source. So we try to simplify all that. We believe that the data, if anybody in the firm needs data, they need to go to a single place to get that data, which means the quality of data has to be accepted and vetted by all the team members. This is an exercise in simplification. And single source of truth, it really refers to the fact that we push really hard to get the clients to get to one place in terms of data. Now, functionality is a little bit different because so far, some technology firms who only did private equity and they were only doing the IRR calculation could not handle or didn't care about handling the TWR kind of calculation. Because of these new wave of technologies that have come in the last 5 to 10 years, they're able to do all of that under one roof and pretty elegantly, to the point where if you don't have certain functionality, you're immediately disqualified. But having that functionality doesn't mean that you're going to win the deal, right? So there's a very interesting dynamics of minimum requirements that have been put in place. And also anecdotally, I would say I see more and more those who built who are now looking to replace by something that they buy.
Right. Well, Ken, this has been tremendous. I can't thank you enough for your time and being able to share your wealth of knowledge with our members. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of the entire ILPA membership, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in. For more information, please feel free to check out www.ilpa.org, and looking forward to the work to come in the technology for LP space. Thanks so much.
Thank you.